Hello, my lovelies. It is time for another round of Have I Read It? So stay tuned. If you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. Have I Read It is one of my multiple TBR games that I play in order to help pick my TBR for the upcoming month. And the way this one works is you get to help pick my TBR. So I go and I react to a haul that I did over 3 years ago, and I tell you if I've read the book, if I've unhauled the book, or if I still own it and haven't read it. And then out of all of the unread books from that haul that I have not read, out of all of the unread books from that haul, you get to vote for which book or books you want me to read in the upcoming month. And the way that I determine how many I am picking is if there are 1 through 9 unread books, then I'll pick the number 1 voted book. If there's 10 through 19, I'll pick the top 2 voted books, and so on and so on. Now, I don't know how many books are in this haul. We're reacting to the book haul for September 2020, and it looks like quite a bit. I'm going to say there's 25-ish books there without counting them up. But fingers crossed, I did really, really well. We shall see. I've got my earbuds connected. I've got the video pulled up, so let's get started. Hey guys, it's Melanie. Welcome to my channel. Today I have my September book haul for you, so stay tuned. So if I counted right, I have 27 books here to haul for you. I bought a lot of books from Books A Million. I think I got some off of Amazon. I have books from, I think, just Unplugged Book Box in this haul. And then I have at least one that was sent to me. So let's just jump right in. I'm super excited. Okay, so let's start with The Lost Book of the White by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. This is book 2 in the Eldest Curse series by Cassandra Clare. I'm pretty sure I have read this one. Let me double check. Actually, it looks like I haven't read that one. I read the first one, but I never got around to reading that one because I started doing like buddy reads of like the series, like leading up and reading in publication order and stuff. So we never ended up getting up to that point before everybody fizzled off. Okay, all right. So The Eldest Curses is a trilogy of books that tells the story of Magnus and Alex's adventures together, starting with an action-packed trip to Europe set just after they began dating. So I probably would reread the Red Scrolls of Magic, though I do remember some of that. Though if you would like me to read this, vote The Lost Book of the White. All right, continuing on. Okay, next up. Okay, this is a book. This is the one that was sent to me. It was sent kind of against my request. I had an author reach out to me and they wanted to send me this book, and I told them I really didn't think this was a book for me and that they shouldn't waste it sending it to me because it's not one that I'm actually going to read. But they wanted to send it to me anyway, so I figured I'd at least show it. And I told them that I would show it off and then I would pass it on to somebody else. It is called Run Into the Fire by Sean Padrage. I have obviously unhauled that one. Next up. Actually, let's make it 28 books because I can't remember if I hauled this in my August or not, and I'm currently reading it. I think it came in September. I'm not entirely sure. That is Sentience by Courtney P. Hunter. Sentience. I do still own this. And I read like half of it and kind of soft DNF'd it. Marty and I were reading it together. Honestly, I don't know that I'm interested enough to pick it back up. So I'm thinking I'm just going to go ahead and unhaul that one. Marty also hasn't really seemed interested enough for us to continue. We've read lots of other books since then. So I actually know exactly where it is. It's sitting on my desk. Like it's been there forever. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and move that to my unhaul pile. And when I was talking and picking up the book, you can see that my bookmark is almost halfway through it. So we started reading this years ago. Years and years ago. So when I filmed this, I was already reading it and I still haven't finished it. So I think it can go. All right, next up. Okay, next up. This is a book I think that came from one of my unplugged book boxes, and that is The Obsidian Tower by Melissa Caruso. Okay, so I have read that twice. I do still own it, and this was actually a group book for a season-a-thon fairly recently, so that's cool. Also, my battery's about to die, so let me change that out really quick, and I'll be right back. Okay. All right, let's continue on. Next up, I think that was like one of the unplugged adult ones. And then one of the unplugged young adult had A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. I don't know about A Song Below Water. I'm not sure if I've read it, if I still own it. Okay, so it looks like I do still own this, and I have not read it. This says, Tavia is already at odds with the world, forced to keep her siren identity under wraps in a society that wants to keep their kind under lock and key. Never mind, she's also stuck in Portland, Oregon, a city with only a handful of black folk and even fewer of those with magical powers. At least she has her bestie, Effie, by her side as they tackle high school drama, family secrets, and unrequited crushes. But everything changes in the aftermath of a siren murder trial that rocks the nation. The girl's favorite internet fashion icon reveals she's also a siren, and the news rips through their community. Tensions escalate when Effie starts being haunted by demons from her past, and Tavia accidentally lets out her magical voice during a police stop. No secret seems safe anymore. Soon Portland won't be either. So if you want me to read this, vote A Song Below Water. All right, next up. Okay, I think this one's another adult one from the Unplugged book box, and that is Cartaga by A.N. Sage. They thought they got them all. They missed one. I don't know if I still own this one or not. Okay, I actually unhauled that one. All right, next up. And I'm guessing this is another adult one, because the adult ones tend to be paperback and the YA ones tend to be hardcover. So this one's 4 Seasons at Angelino's, A Year to Find the One by Carolyn McBride. I have no idea about this one either. I've also unhauled that one. All right, next up. Next, I believe this is another unplugged but a YA one, and that is Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. And I'm pretty sure I still own this, and I don't think I've read it. Let me double check. Okay, I was correct. This says, author Tiffany D. Jackson delivers another rip from the headlines mystery that exposes horrific secrets hiding behind the limelight and embraces the power of a young woman's voice. When legendary R&B artist Corey Fields spots Enchanted Jones at an audition, her dreams of being a famous singer take flight, until Enchanted wakes up with blood on her hands and zero memories of the previous night. Who killed Corey Fields? Before there was a dead body, Enchanted's dreams had turned into a nightmare, because behind Corey's charm and star power was a controlling dark side. Now he's dead, the police are at the door, and all signs point to Enchanted. So if you want me to read this, vote Grown. All right, next up. Okay, next up we have When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole, and this is a thriller. Okay, I did read When No One Is Watching, but I'm pretty sure I unhauled it. No, I didn't unhaul it. I still own it, but I have read it. Next up. Okay, so these next 2 books are part of a series. I think we have I think this one's book 8. Yes, Feverborn by Karen Marie Moning. And I think this one is book 10, High Voltage. Okay, so books 8 and 10. I have read some of this series, but I'm not sure how far I got, and I would definitely have to restart the series. Let me see. I honestly couldn't tell you how far I got. I feel like I got at least to Dream Fever, which was book 4. But when I was reading these forever and ever and ever ago, and I was loving them, I think honestly that was before I even knew about Goodreads. That was way before I was doing my channel, and before I even knew what Goodreads was. So I don't have those things marked at all. And I don't think I might own the first book. I don't think I do though. So here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to mark 2 spots, like 2 marks on the unread. But I'm going to tell you the first book in the series because it's probably been 15 years since I've read this. So I would definitely have to reread it again. At least 10 to 15 years. This book came out in 2006, and I was probably reading it in like 2009, 2010. It wasn't like super old at that point. So let me tell you about the first book, which is called Dark Fever. This says, "My name is Kayla, Mac for short. I'm a sincere one who sees the Fae, a fact I accepted only recently and very reluctantly. My philosophy is pretty simple. Any day nobody's trying to kill me is a good day in my book. I haven't had many good days lately, not since the walls between man and Fae came down. But when there's not a sincere alive who's had a good day since then." When Michaela's sister was murdered, she left a single clue to her death, a cryptic message on Mac's cell phone. Journeying to Ireland in search of answers, Mac is soon faced with an even greater challenge, staying alive long enough to master a power she had no idea she possessed, a gift that allows her to see beyond the world of man into the dangerous realm of the Fae. As Mac delves deeper into the mystery of her sister's death, her every move is shadowed by the dark, dangerous Jericho, while at the same time, the ruthless Vlaine, an alpha Fae who makes sex an addiction for human women, closes in on her. As the boundary between worlds begins to crumble, Mac's true mission becomes clear: to find the elusive Sinsar Dub before someone else claims the all-powerful Dark Book, because whoever gets to it first holds nothing less than complete control of both their worlds in their hands. So if you want me to read this, vote Dark Fever. All right, so that puts us at 5, and we're not quite halfway through. All right, next up. Okay, next up we have Rebel by Marie Lu. I have read, and I'm pretty sure I still own Rebel. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure I still own it. Okay, yes, I have read Rebel, and I do still own it. All right, continuing on. Next up we have Hidden Sea by Gregory Maguire. This is the tale of the once and future Nutcracker. I feel like I unhauled that. Yes, I did unhaul that. All right, next up. Okay, next up we have, these are also part of a series. We have Capturing the Devil and Escaping from Houdini by Carrie Maniscalco. I'm pretty sure I read this whole series and still own it, but I am going to double check. Yes, I did. And do I still own them? Yes. Next up. Okay, next up. Oh, it's a cookbook. This is From Freezer to Instant Pot, the cookbook. Okay, so any of the cookbooks, I always say I've read and still own. Because even though I may not read the entire thing front to back, I do flip through them, and I might make a recipe out of them and things. But I keep all my cookbooks too, so yeah. All right, next up. Okay, next up we have Believe Me by J.P. Delaney. I don't know if I still own this one. Okay, so it looks like I do still own this, and I have not read it. This says, in this twisty psychological thriller from the New York Times bestselling author of The Girl Before, an actress plays both sides of a murder investigation. One out-of-work British actress pays the rent on her New York City apartment the only way she can, as a decoy for a firm of divorce lawyers hired to entrap straying husbands. When the cops begin investigating one of her targets for murdering his wife and potentially others, they ask her to lure the suspect into a confession. But with the actress pretending to be someone she isn't, differentiating the decoy from the prey becomes impossible and deadly. So if you want me to read this, vote believe me. All right, next up. Next up, we have A Stranger on the Beach by Michelle Campbell. I feel like I have read this one. I'm not sure if I still own it or not, though. Okay, yes, I have read it. I do still own it. I actually gave it 5 stars. All right. Next up. Next up, we have Girls of Storm and Shadow by Natasha Young. I don't know if I read that one or not. I don't think I did. So I read the first book in that series. I never read the second book, which is Girls of Storm and Shadow. I'll probably have to reread Girls of Paper and Fire because it's been so long. Apparently, I read that September 16th of 2020. So 4.5 years ago. So let me tell you about the first book, but you'll be voting for the second book. So Girls of Paper and Fire, it says, each year 8 beautiful girls are chosen as paper girls to serve the king. It's the highest honor they could hope for and the most demeaning. This year there's a 9th. Instead of paper, she's made of fire. In this richly developed fantasy, Lay is a member of the paper caste, the lowest and most persecuted class of people in Akara. She lives in a remote village with her father where the decade-old trauma of watching her mother snatched by royal guards for an unknown fate still haunts her. Now the guards are back, and this time it's Lay they're after, the girl with the golden eyes whose rumored beauty has piqued the king's interest. Over weeks of training in the opulent but oppressive palace, Lay and the 8 other girls learn the skills and charm that befit a king's consort. There she does the unthinkable, she falls in love. Her forbidden romance becomes enmeshed with an explosive plot that threatens her entire way of life. Lay, still the wide-eyed country girl at heart, must decide how far she's willing to go for justice and revenge. And I do remember that the person she falls in love with, I believe, is one of the other girls. I know it's a girl, but I think it's one of the other of the 8 girls. Okay, so if you want me to read this, or the second book, vote Girls of Storm and Shadow. All right, next up. Next up I have I See You by Claire McIntosh. I don't know about this one. Okay, I do still own this one, and I have not read it. This says, it all starts during her commute home one night. Zoe Walker glances through her local paper and sees her own face staring back at her in a classified ad. With the grainy photo is a phone number and a listing for a website called findtheone.com. In the following days, she sees other women in the same ad, a different one every day, and nearly all of them show up in the newspaper as victims of increasingly violent crimes, including murder. With the help of a determined cop, Zoe uncovers the ad's twisted purpose, and suddenly the man on the train sitting across the car, the one smiling at Zoe, could be more than just a friendly stranger. He could be someone who has deliberately chosen her and is ready to make his next move. So if you want me to read this, vote I See You. All right, next up. Okay, so I was just looking at the books over here, and I think only this one right here, I'm going to go ahead and grab it, is the only one that's not a Books A Million book. This is one I ordered off of Amazon because I read the first book in the series and really, really enjoyed it. And so I wanted to get the next book so I could have it to read as soon as possible. And that is The Clockwork Ghost, which is book 2 in the York series by Laura Ruby. I have not read that, and I do still own it. I remember really enjoying the first book, and I never got around to reading the second one. Okay, so let me tell you about the first book, since this is a sequel. This is another one that I'd probably have to reread the first book as well, but I'm going to have you vote for the second one. This says, it was 1798 when the Morningstar twins arrived in New York with a vision for a magnificent city, towering skyscrapers, dazzling machines, and winding train lines, all running on technology no one ever had ever seen before. 57 years later, the enigmatic architects disappeared, leaving behind, for the people of New York, the old York cipher, a puzzle laid into the shining city they constructed, at the end of which was promised a treasure beyond all imagining. By the present day, however, the puzzle has never been solved, and the greatest mystery of the modern world is little more than a tourist attraction. Tess and Theo Biederman and their friend Jamie Cruz live in a Morningstar apartment house until a real estate developer announces that the city has agreed to sell him the 5 remaining Morningstar buildings. Their likely destruction means the end of a dream long held by the people of New York. And if Tess, Theo, and Jamie want to save their home, they have to prove that the old York cipher is real, which means they have to solve it. And I do recall all of this. So if you want me to read this, vote The Clockwork Ghost. Okay, so that puts us at 9. So if I get even one more book that I still own and have not read, then I have to pick the top 2 voted books. And there's still a stack. All right, continuing on. Okay, back to the rest of the books, a million books. So we have Slay by Brittany Morris. I don't think I ever read Slay. I'm pretty sure I still own it. Yeah, I do still own it, and I have not read it. This says, we are different ages, genders, and traditions, but tonight we all slay. Black Panther meets Ready Player One. A fierce teen game developer battles a real-life troll intent on ruining the Black Panther-inspired video game she created and the safe community it represents for black gamers. By day, 17-year-old Kira Johnson is a college student and one of the only black kids at Jefferson Academy. By night, she joins hundreds of thousands of black gamers who duel worldwide in the secret online role-playing card game, Slay. No one knows Kira is the game developer, not even her boyfriend Malcolm. But when a teen in Kansas City is murdered over a dispute in the Slay world, the media labels it an exclusionist, racist hub for thugs. With threats coming from both inside and outside the game, Kira must fight to save the safe place she's created. But can she protect Slay without losing herself? So if you want me to read this, vote Slay. So that means I will have to pick at least the top 2 voted books. I don't know that there's enough here to make me have to pick 3, but let's see what we got. Next up. Okay, next up we have Somebody's Daughter by David Bell. I feel like I still own this, but I have not read it. Okay, I do still own this, and I have not read it. This says, in this pulse-pounding novel of psychological suspense from the USA Today best-selling author of Bring Her Home and Since She Went Away, a man must save the life of a little girl who just might be his daughter. When Michael Fraser's ex-wife Erica unexpectedly shows up on his doorstep, she drops a bombshell that threatens to rip his family apart. Her 10-year-old daughter is missing, and Michael is the father. Unsure whether this is the truth, but unwilling to leave the girl's fate to chance, Michael has no choice but to follow the elusive trail of the child he has always wanted, but never knew he had. After Michael departs, his wife Angela learns shocking news about Erica and fears for the safety of both her husband and the endangered girl. When a stranger, a man who claims a connection to Erica and her missing daughter, knocks on the door, Angela is drawn out into the night and deep into a tangled web of Michael's past. Over the course of one night, lies that span a decade come bubbling to the surface, putting Michael, his wife, and his whole family in jeopardy. And as the window for a little girl's safe return closes, Michael will have to decide who can be trusted and who is hiding the truth. So if you want me to read this, vote Somebody's Daughter. All right, next up. Next up we have Fragments of the Lost by Megan Miranda. I'm guessing I also own this and haven't read it, but I'm going to check. That is correct. Okay, so this says, from the New York Times bestselling author of All the Missing Girls and The Perfect Stranger comes a suspenseful psychological mystery about one girl's search to uncover the truth behind her ex-boyfriend's death. Perfect for fans of We Were Liars and 13 Reasons Why. Jessica Whitworth knew she didn't belong in her ex-boyfriend Caleb's room, but she couldn't deny that she was everywhere, in his photos, his neatly folded t-shirts, even the butterfly necklace in his jeans pocket, the one she gave him for safekeeping on that day. His mother asked her to pack up his things, even though she blames Jessa for his accident. How could she say no? And maybe, just maybe, it will help her work through the guilt she feels about their final moments together. But as Jessa begins to box up the pieces of Caleb's life, they trigger memories that make Jessa realize their past relationship may not be exactly as she remembered. And she starts to question whether she really knew Caleb at all. Each fragment of his life reveals a new clue that propels Jessa to search for the truth about Caleb's accident. What really happened on that storm-swept bridge. So if you want me to read this, vote Fragments of the Lost. All right, next up. Next, these three are actually part of a series. So we have book 1, The Lux, book 2, Rumors, and book 3, Envy. I'm pretty sure I still own these, and I don't think I've read any of them. That is correct. So that adds 3. Okay, this says, The Lux is the first book in the New York Times best-selling Lux series by Anna Godberson. A world of luxury and deception where appearance matters above everything and breaking the social code means running the risk of being ostracized forever. 5 teenagers lead dangerously scandalous lives. This thrilling trip to the age of innocence is anything but innocent. Pretty girls in pretty dresses partying until dawn. Irresistible boys with mischievous smiles and dangerous intentions. White lies, dark secrets, and scandalous hookups. This is Manhattan, 1899. Beautiful sisters Elizabeth and Diana Holland rule Manhattan's social scene, or so it appears. When the girls discover the status among New York City's elite is far from secure, suddenly everyone, from the backstabbing socialite Penelope Hayes to the debonair bachelor Henry Schoonmaker to the spiteful maid Lena Browd, threatens Elizabeth and Diana's golden future. With the fate of the Hollands resting on her shoulders, Elizabeth must choose between family duty and true love. But when her carriage overturns near the East River, the girl whose glittering life lit up the city's gossip pages is swallowed by the rough current. As all of New York grieves, some begin to wonder whether the life at the top proved too much for this ethereal beauty, or if perhaps someone wanted to see Manhattan's most celebrated daughter disappear. This is definitely giving me Gossip Girl, but set in the 1800s. All right, so if you want me to read this, vote The Lux. That also puts us at 15. Oh my. Okay, well, it looks like there's only one book left, so let's see what it is. And then the last book I have here is The Chestnut Man by Soren Cyberstrup. Okay, I'm pretty sure I still have this. Yes, I do still have this, and I have not read it. This says, if you find one, he's already found you. A psychopath is terrifying Copenhagen. His calling card is a chestnut man, a handmade doll made of matchsticks and 2 chestnuts, which he leaves at each bloody crime scene. Examining the dolls, forensics make a shocking discovery, a fingerprint belonging to a young girl, a government minister's daughter who had been kidnapped and murdered a year ago. A tragic coincidence or something more twisted? To save innocent lives, a pair of detectives must put aside their differences to piece together the Chestnut Man's gross clues, because it's clear that the madman is on a mission that is far from over, and no one is safe. So if you want me to read this, vote The Chestnut Man. Okay, so those are all of the books. There were 16 that I still own that I have not read. So I will be picking the top 2 voted books. Man, I'm having trouble with words. Okay, so here are the books that you can vote for. The Lost Book of the White, A Song Below Water, Grown, Dark Fever, Believe Me, Girls of Storm and Shadow, I See You, The Clockwork Ghost, Slay, Somebody's Daughter, Fragments of the Lost, The Lux, or The Chestnut Man. So comment down below which book or books you would like me to read in the upcoming month. And as I said, I'll pick the top 2 voted books. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember to always be completely you. Bye!